Hi, this is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6, Delta Alpha Yankee, and for today's video, I'm going to be taking a second look at the Alinco DJ-VX50. Now, why is that? Sometimes I'll do follow-ons with reviews and add a little bit more information or make a clarification, but why the second look? I'll tell you, it's in direct response to a lot of comments I've seen and a lot of emails that I've gotten over the past couple of months, particularly since the ICT10 or the Icom ICT10 video. I've had a lot of people asking me about this particular radio, and it has suddenly become quite popular. And people that have seen my review are asking kind of the same question, saying, "Hey, aside from that programming cable issue, one guy said, 'Hey, I understand your sour milk over the programming cable issue, but is the radio any good?'" And it made me realize I think I harped on that programming cable issue maybe a little too much. Now, it doesn't mean that I wasn't wrong, but I was incorrect in terms of the importance of that particular issue. Because, and let me back up just a little bit and kind of explain the situation. When I did the review, I had the radio for a while. When I first got it, lacking any programming cable available at all at that point, I was forced to program it from the front panel, and it was pretty easy. It was the first radio that I had fully programmed from the front panel. So that left a good impression on me. And when I got it done, I was on to other things, and it sort of went back up onto the shelf here, way in the back on the third row over there. And that'll become important where it lands in the antenna farm in just a moment. And it just sort of sat for a while. And as I was doing radio reviews, I picked it up and, okay, I'll do a review on this one. Pulled it out, I reacquainted myself with the radio and got a feeling for it again, did the review, and I did an adequate enough review on it for a radio that basically was still very new to me. I wasn't really, it was okay, I thought, yeah, it does a lot of cool stuff, amazing. It does a lot of FT65 kind of stuff. So, I was kind of impressed by it a little bit, but I wasn't that enthused about it. Well, following the review, I didn't put the radio down because, like I said, when I get ready to do a review, I play with the radio for a few days and get a good feel for it before the review. But after the review, I kept messing with it, and it never went away. And where it finally ended up in my little antenna farm here is in the top 6. Those are the first 3 in row 1 and row 2 there. Those are the radios that I use most often. I found myself, more often than not, this thing was ending up in my go bag on the way to work. I was taking it on trips, and before you knew it, I was using it all the time. I was using it as much as I use any of the other HTs in the old top 6 there. And over time, I really have developed an appreciation for this radio. So if I had done that review today, I probably wouldn't have mentioned the programming cable at all, other than, yeah, the programming cable's a little expensive, but it's worth it. So I would have had a different impression entirely. And also, I probably would have raved a little bit more about a couple of the features. Now, still, I think I gave, in the review, I gave a pretty positive review of the radio, and I did recommend it. And I did say it was a good radio. But what I didn't say was it's an excellent radio for the price. This thing's $99.95. Now let me compare it to something that is almost identical to it. And this is why this radio keeps coming up. Is this radio got people thinking about dual band analog HTs with 200 channel capacities that are IP67 rated and had direct conversion receivers. Both of these radios do that. Also, separate volume and channel control knobs. Both of these radios have that. And you're kind of going, ooh, well, they sort of do almost the same thing all the way across the board. So this one's $239 to $249, and this one's $99. So people that are kind of enticed by this radio end up going towards this one here for the price alone. But what they want to know is, am I missing something? It's $99. Is this that much better than this to justify this? And I will say only in one very narrow category. So I'm not, and this isn't, my intent was not to do a DJ-50 or VX50 review or head-to-head comparison between the Icom T10. It's not the intent of this video, but it does deserve comparison. It is easier to actually compare the handful of ways in which they are different than to go feature by feature, because they are that much alike. But let me tell you the areas where the Icom T10 is actually better than the VX50. It's not going to be that many areas. It's only one. Now, there's differences, but I'm not saying it's better. The belt clips. The belt clip on the T10 is a better belt clip. I like it. It's easily removed without tools. It attaches to the battery pack. I actually prefer that. I'm weird like that. But I also recognize that I don't use belt clips all that often. I tend to take them off and run these radios in pouches. So the belt clip issue isn't that big a deal. This is not a bad belt clip. It's fairly solid. It's not like a Baofeng UV5R belt clip. It's not going to come apart on you. It's just this one's better engineered. So it's kind of a beauty contest, but they both do exactly the same thing and they do it okay. So I'm going to call that a wash. Looks. People will say that the T10 is a prettier radio than the DJ-VX50. It depends. That beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I've met a lot of really beautiful women that were a crushing bore to spend the additional 23 hours and 55 minutes of the day with. I've met a lot of women that weren't as flashy that were pretty fun to be around. Is what it is, right? So I'm not going to let the looks of the radio sway me either way. Everything's pretty much the same on them. I don't really care what they look like. So what is the one area where the T10 is better? That's the fact that with a proper speaker mic, you can maintain your IP67 submersion rating with the speaker mic attached, because they're sealed, they screw in, and it remains IP67 rated if you buy the proper microphone. The proper microphone, by the way, costing more than this radio alone. The proper microphone for that application is $140. So you're talking about a $240 radio with a $140 mic. So we're talking, that's at $380 worth of radio. But if you're a whitewater rafter and you need to maintain that IP67 rating, or you work in a maritime environment where that is a genuine concern for you, this isn't the radio I would recommend. I'd point you towards a Yaesu VX6, to be honest with you. You'll actually come out less cost in the end. You'll get a better radio, and you'll be a happier person. And you'll be a happier person, trust me. So that's really the only way in which the T10 is better. But this, 99 bucks, does everything that the T10 will do. It's IP67 still with the port on. If you do run a speaker mic, though, just understand, at best, you've got IP54 rating. You got splash resistant, and that's it. But that's okay. For me, that's not a major factor. I just wanted to have some weather protection. I don't intend to swim my radios. I don't intend to do scream crossings with my radios. That's not what I do anymore. Look at me. Do I look like the kind of person that does stream crossings with a radio anymore? But some people do. So if that's a major concern for you, then fine. There are other options. But if that's not, and you live a more sedentary but still active lifestyle, I think the Alinco DJ-VX50 is a much better value and a much better radio, because let me tell you the ways in which the VX50 is better. You know, if you've seen the review, I've talked about this Dismal. That's your display. That's your fully illuminated display on this tiny, tiny screen with a little, well, you can't even, yeah. For those that have seen the review, you know that I've really kind of lost my stuff over the fact that you can't even have consistency in the font on the alphanumerics when you name a channel. It's a mixture of upper and lowercase letters that are sort of artistically shaped, so they don't even look like the actual letters. It's ridiculous. Plus, the amount of information in there is too cramped, too small. If you're on the verge of needing reading glasses, you will need reading glasses to even read this screen. Contrast that with this, and that's a much better proposition. There's a nice, bright, and it's in the Cinderella zone of being not too small, not too large, nice, bright, easy, clear, legible, easy to read screen. You have dual watch capability, where this is just single band display. This displays your two different bands that you're monitoring. It'll receive on both. Of course, when you transmit on one, it knocks the other one out, but that's okay. It's not a true duplex type radio, but it does give you dual watch, dual receive, and the screen is not too cluttered. Very easy to read it, even if you're eyeball challenged like myself, and I do need the reading glasses, as you've seen more than a few times. I don't really have to put these on to work this radio. The font is large enough where I can see everything. The speaker itself is much louder, much clearer, and it's got a good tone to it, whereas this sounds kind of thin and tinny. As far as the controls, I definitely prefer the front panel controls on this. The navigation, or rather the set menu on this, is much easier to navigate. This is a much more intuitively built system for field programming. It's just better on so many different levels than this radio. And again, I don't want to relitigate the whole Icom T10 thing, but for $99.95, this thing's a friggin' bargain. This is an amazing little radio for what it is. So do I recommend it? Hell yes. Absolutely, I recommend this radio quite highly, in fact. And in terms of the one that I do recommend a lot, the FT65, let's call it even. I'm going to recommend these equally. It's going to come down to, honestly, the separate volume and channel control knobs on the top of the radio and the IP67 give it the edge. It is better. And plus, dual watch, dual display, single display. This is a better radio than the FT65. I'm just going to say it. I hate to say it. I can't stand saying it, but it is a better radio. If I was going to edge now, the only reason I would say FT65 still is it's a Yaesu. You get a little bit of name recognition. But if I buy into that nonsense, then I got to buy into the whole thing of what's an Icom. It can't do wrong. Okay. That reminds me of my wife and her BMWs. I'll tell you more about that later. But so back to the Alinco DJ-VX50. It is good to go, ready to rock. I fully recommend it. It's an excellent little radio. You can't go wrong with this thing. Just do understand, yeah, the programming cable is going to cost you a little bit more than you wanted to spend. But buy the RT Systems programming software. You absolutely won't regret it. Definitely, because you get the programming cable. For just a couple dollars extra, you get the programming software as well over the original factory programming cable, because then you have to go with the factory CPS on this thing, and if you can find it, it's not terrific. So take the plunge, and especially if you're going to be buying a few of these radios, maybe for a group, and you're trying to settle on one particular radio. If you buy 6 or 8 of those radios, you buy the one programming software package. You can set up all of them up the same way and have a pretty decent little inter-team radio for your group. So yeah, Alinco DJ-VX50, full endorsement. Go for it. You're going to love it. So with that, I'll bring it to a close. Thank you for watching and or listening. This is Scott from Southwest Visalia, California. Have a wonderful day.